Hey everybody, Stu Smith here, going live. Hope you had a great Christmas weekend and yeah, you enjoyed it. What are you doing this week? That's the big question. So, this week after Christmas, before the new year, tends to be a week, depending on where you are in your life, of not a whole lot to do. So, you take advantage of it. Um, are you on leave? Are you on Christmas break because of school, your job, got a vacation, end of the year vacation type of things? Are you traveling? Oh, that's the worst, traveling this time of year. Um, but something I have found for me is this is one of my favorite weeks of the year, mainly because I typically don't have a lot of other distractions. Like nobody's making appointments with me. Nobody needs to see me. Everybody's kind of on their own schedule. Things are closed. A lot of people aren't working. But I have found this one to be one of those weeks where I get a lot of stuff done that maybe I was putting off a little bit, or maybe I get, organized for the upcoming year. But I will tell you this, one of my favorite years was probably almost 20 years ago now, when I was in a process of in between jobs. I'd gotten out of the military like 3 years prior. Um, I was in between jobs. I was put it this way: I was working a job, but I was working a side gig, and this was the week almost 20 years ago. Yeah, I think it was 20 years ago, 2002, somewhere around there, where I sold my first ebook. And it was just a basic ebook. And that may not sound like a big deal to you guys now, but in 2002, not many people were buying ebooks, right? Plus, you had dial up or maybe a DSL type connection. So anything over a megabyte was a bitch to download. So figuring out how to do that back then was, for me, a big technological coup that really kind of set me up for the next 20 years. I am still selling ebooks and books and publishing more books and uh, working out and writing about it, articles every week. Um, and it was just one of those things. I remember walking upstairs after selling my first ebook and telling my family that, and they were like, "Hey, that's great." And then I said, "Yeah, but you guys don't understand. This could mean my side gig is no longer my side gig." So I guess I'm coming to you a little bit more as a fitness entrepreneur today, because I have found this week to be um, liberating in some sense. I think some people will just lay around and watch football and Netflix all day and all week. It's fine. You do you. If you need a break, a lot of us need a break after busting our ass all year. There's nothing wrong with taking a break, but I have just found this week to be profoundly um, foundational in everything I do. So I try to make it every year. I try to figure out, like, what is it that I need to do. And this is one of those years of weeks of reflection, of looking forward, trying to figure out the whole way to make that work. And there you go. That's kind of what this week is for me. Plus, you get after it. You have more time to work out. You can really set yourself up on a good head start for the new year this week. The gyms typically aren't busy yet. New Year's resolutions don't really start for another week. You can get a head start on those guys. Something I do recommend if you are starting to work out in a gym is don't do upper body bench days, right, on Monday, because it is like International Bench Day on Monday. So do legs on Monday, bench on Tuesday, and then that way you won't have the huge fight that goes on of trying to find a bench, trying to find a squat rack. You just do it opposite of what everybody else is. Because I guarantee you, more than half of the people on Monday, if not 75% or more, will be doing chest day on Monday. Never fails. In the 40 years I have been training, um, that tends to be very true. So I've always, sometimes changed my plans, and just flip them around. So if I see my benches are all taken, up, it's going to be a leg day today. I'll do bench tomorrow. So anyway, yeah, Raymond says loves the empty gyms this week. Yeah, they're empty this week, not next week. That is for sure. Um, so, but anyway, that's what I've been doing. So let's talk about my week this week. This is our first week of the winter lift cycle. It was a good one. And today it was so freaking cold here in Maryland. I think it was like 12 degrees. And I decided I gave my guys a Christmas gift. And I said, we're going indoors today. And so we went indoors and lifted, and it had a great workout. And a lot of people were from out of town that hadn't been here in a while, that had gone on. They're serving active duty right now. So they came back for a nice reunion workout, which is always fun. This week is one of my favorite weeks when everybody comes back from their pipelines or their active duty team worlds and stuff like that. So it's really cool. But anyway, this is what we're doing this week. And if you're curious what that is, we did do an upper body day today. So just worked out for us to do that. Next week, though, we'll probably do a leg day if we're inside on Monday. It was the basics, bench presses. One of the things I'm doing with this winter lift cycle is it's a 13-week program. The 13th week is kind of a testing week program. But what this has in it is 3 4-week training cycles that look like this. It's the first 3 weeks are high repetition, like really hypertrophy level, muscle stamina type stuff. That's very lightweight, focusing on technique more than weight, and just a lot of reps. So you're going to get a lot of volume, like 15 to 20 rep sets. Very hard. You'll feel this one. You do that for 3 weeks, and on the 4th week, you kind of take a break from the lifting and go into a calisthenics cardio week just to maintain some of your previous gains from, the summer fall cycle. And then on the next 4-week cycle, we're going a little bit more medium level, like 8 to 10 rep sets for 3 weeks. And then that 4th week, we do a little deload and, do some cals and cardio again. And then that third 4-week cycle is 5 and under. So those next 3 weeks of lifting will be, 5 rep max, maybe even build a few 1 rep maxes in there just to see where you are. And then we have a choice, because by the time this is done, it will be probably, we started this week. So we'll probably be done around March, where it's still a little chilly. We may do one more cycle of the heavy lifting in here. So sometimes these, depending on where you're needed, where your weaknesses are, you might want to extend this with a 4-week cycle by doing one of those 4-week cycles again, or you jump in early and you start the spring cycle, which is a progression. You start your running progression with calisthenics and cardio, and you start your running progression early. So it's kind of up to the group and up to the individual on how we get through these cycles. Um, you know, as with any training cycle, this is a generic program, but it's not difficult to personalize it for you depending on what you need, especially this model of training that I call seasonal tactical fitness periodization, because it allows you to shift things around if you need to. If you have questions about how to do that, I'm always available as well. So that's the beauty of my programs, books and ebooks and things like that, that people email me all the time. Like, how can I make this work for me? Or what did you mean by this? Because sometimes I try to be um, very basic in my explanations of these workouts. So it's not difficult to follow. It's basically follow from the top to the bottom, easy day. And sometimes the circuits get a little confusing, and how can you mix running if you can't do it, then you can move it around, stuff like that. So the ultimate goal is to just finish what that column is in that day. It doesn't have to be perfect order. It doesn't even have to be a single session. If you have to break it up into 2 sessions, because, like, for instance, what I'm doing today, our pool wasn't open, so we didn't swim after our morning workout. So I'll swim at lunch shortly after this live Q&A. So everybody has been saying Merry Christmas, belated Merry Christmas. Good morning, happy holidays, much love from Italy. That's awesome. Going international here with the Stu Smith Live. So glad you're able to listen in. Does anybody have any questions? If not, I'll continue chatting about another subject that is near and dear to my heart this week, and next week. And that is for older guys like me. I am 54 this year. I don't even remember anymore. So I'm 54 this year, still getting after it with a bunch of 20-year-olds working out. I'm not as fast as they are with some events, but still doing it. But if, a lot of us as we age in our 40s and 50s tend to start slowing down to a point of where we're broken from previous rigorous activities in our teens and 20s. Just burned out with life, just don't have enough time to work out. All those things are valid. I understand it. It's life can really get in the way of a really good training program sometimes, but it also isn't difficult to build some good habits of the basics, right? And that just means walking a little more and drinking more water, stretching more. And if it hurts to walk, you can, get on a stationary bike, things like that. This is one of my favorites for that. This is a beginner workout program. It's called Foundation Rebuilding, basically for beginners or recovering from injury. And even though you may not consider yourself a beginner at 40 years old, 50 years old, and um, but here's how I define beginner. If you haven't really done anything in 5, 10 years or more, you need to treat yourself like a beginner, right? If you haven't done anything in 6 months, I would seriously treat yourself like a beginner, just so you don't overdo it too much, too soon, too fast, wind up hurting yourself. So I always kind of back it down a little bit, for those folks who haven't done anything in a very long time. Um, and really, the ultimate goal, and this is a great week to do that. Ultimate goal is to set a time and do something. Just something in your day is now, I don't care if it's 6 o'clock or 6 a.m. or 6 p.m., something in that day needs to get done. You set a time with yourself. This is an appointment. You set an alarm, do whatever, that says, okay, I got a meeting and it's with you and you get to go do something. And it can be the very basics of something. The goal right now is to build that habit of doing something. And then as you build that habit of whether it's just walking or it's hopping on a stationary bike while you're watching TV, I don't care. Whatever that is, walking, stretching, make something happen at that time every day. And if you have to change it, some days are AM, some days are PM, that's fine too. Whatever. Just make an appointment with yourself and make it happen, because that is how you build a habit. And what you're doing there is kind of building a time like block. Like, this is my block with um the appointment with myself right here. 6 a.m., 6 p.m., lunch, whatever. And maybe have a backup. Like if you miss the 6 a.m., you have a backup lunch, 20-minute walk or something. It can be that basic, because that's all I'm trying to do right now. I'm just trying to rebuild the habit of you doing something. And then when you get to that point of able to do something, you'll see you're like, okay, I can do a little more than this, because I'm actually, I think I'm a little bit better shape than I was, a month ago. Um, can definitely lift weights. I could do more calisthenics. I could walk more. I could maybe start jogging, depending on your abilities. So just build the habit of time first, and then slowly start to introduce new elements of fitness to that slot in your day that you've created the habit for. Because there's going to be a time in the day or a time in the month in the future when you don't feel like working out or doing something. But if you can still go do something anyway, even when you don't feel like it, that is a huge um, next step into turning your initial motivation into a discipline. And then once you're able to do that, you're next level, right? And this goes for guys that are advanced as well as guys who are beginners. That's a very strong moment. I mean, they're like this morning, I didn't feel like getting up and going outside at 12 degrees and go work out, the day after Christmas, after working my ass off all weekend for people coming over, and I was just tired. You didn't have the normal day off, that you would for Christmas. It's a Sunday anyway. Um, but you got it done anyway. That is when you can see your training is now part of your life. You've made that lifestyle change, and that's when it is the most powerful. And this is a great week to get that started. I always say, make today day one, not one day. All right. So it looks like we do have a couple of questions here. Okay, Bubba Joe says, what are those paddles behind you? Well, these two paddles are from students of mine who graduated buds. Their names are on those paddles. I actually have one of my own. So this is a neat story. I haven't hung it up yet, but this is my paddle, Buds 182, right? And um, 30 years ago in July, we graduated buds, and they didn't make these back then. So the other class officer and myself bought 30 of these, and we mailed them out to all of our guys. Now, I will say this, there's a few guys I can't find because they got crazy names, like just ungoogleable names, like Andy Jones, or there's a couple others. What's another name? Last name James. So it's just some are just really common names that are just can't find them. So we're still working on a few more, but I think I got like 3 more paddles left over. But yeah, that's what those are. They're graduation from SEAL training paddles. So there you go. Get going, Patricia. Good work. So Nick lost 100 pounds during COVID. Whew. After my divorce, I've lost the motivation to train. Any advice? Without working out, I feel like I'm losing myself. Yeah, you definitely just got to get doing something. And it doesn't have to be much. And I'm sorry about one, you got COVID, and two, your divorce. Those things are part of life these days. It is time to keep moving forward, though. Quit looking back at the past. We're all human. We screw up, whether or not you screwed up or you got screwed yourself. Doesn't matter. We're all human. Forgive, move on. Forgive yourself if you have to. Move on. And I think that will be a better attitude going in, better mindset. And then you can, find that little bit of time in the day. I'm just asking 20 to 30 minutes max of walking, right? And I know it's not a whole lot of fun, but it's that time block that I'm trying to get you to save in your day. And then once you've gotten used to that time block being saved and something being accomplished every day, then you can start adding in a gym membership or weightlifting or adding calisthenics or adding jogging instead of walking. That's how I recommend it. If you want to get into calisthenics right off the start, there's this calisthenics and cardio workout, no equipment needed. There is swimming in there if you want to do swimming, but you can also walk, bike, jog as part of your cardio part of that. That's a fun one. There's some other ways to get things done without needing a gym. So, in fact, you brought up COVID. After I wrote this in like when was COVID? 2020. So I wrote this in 2019. And it just kind of sat there. It wasn't really that popular. Some people were liking it. Um, but after COVID, this one just exploded because everybody lost their gym and everybody didn't have a home gym yet. And it was really effective. I mean, to a point of where even guys that were beginners in the SEAL pipeline were starting to use it because there's a beginner, intermediate, and advanced level. And that advanced level is pretty darn challenging. I mean, it is up there with, the Navy SEAL PST level of type of training that I do with pull ups, push ups, sit ups, planks, running and swimming. But it's a fun one. It's another great way to get started. But, my advice, drink water and walk. Get started with the very basics. And I hope it works out for you. And email me, stu@stewsmith.com, if you got questions or you just need me to email you and pep you up a little bit. Get crushing it. Because eventually your, motivation to start doing things, or maybe your demotivation will evolve and you'll start feeling better. I promise you. Next thing you know, it's a discipline, not a motivation problem at all. If weight loss is the goal, should we start the spring summer workout plan even though we're in the winter? Also, should we stick with that plan until we reach the weight loss goal? It doesn't matter. You can lose weight on any one of these. I mean, you can lose weight by lifting weights. You just have to make sure you're consuming fewer calories, obviously, um, than you and burn more. So, uh, it doesn't really matter. The amount of effort you put into your day of activity is what matters. Um, yes. However, I would say this, this is not an easy program. So if you're really overweight and it says run 4 miles, you may not want to run 4 miles. Right? You may want to bike for 30 minutes instead of running 4 miles. So you may have to adjust the mileage because this spring training program, let's see, starts off week 1 is 12 to 14 miles, but week 12 is 20 to 25 miles. And that range is really dependent on whether or not you decide to add like an extra run in to the day at the end of the workout. Some people like to add in some longer, slower distance just to build an aerobic base, which is fine. Just do a zone 2 run. Nothing wrong with that. But I don't recommend heavier people to do that. Your knees and your joints, your shins will thank you for not adding that kind of weight and impact forces on them. Um, so if you're trying to lose weight, my suggestion, if you want to do a lot of cardio, do like a triathlete would, and 2/3 of your cardio time should be non-impact cardio: bike, swim, row, elliptical, stair stepper, versus running 100% of that time. So, sorry, long answer there. You can do that though, but I don't think it's necessary. Does your jet fins cover your whole heel? No. We're size 10 and I own a size XL. My fins do not cover my heel. No, it's going to have a little bit of your foot hanging out of the jet fin. And then that strap wraps around the backside of your heel. Just make sure you have good booties on your feet, the thick neoprene scuba suit type of material, because it will definitely crush your feet if you do not. Blisters, just not. Hot spots are horrible, especially when your feet get wet and soft. So, but no, they do not need to cover your heel. So Nick says, Stu just started answering my question. Weight loss is no longer the goal. I haven't worked out since September. Need to rebuild the habit. That's the key, man. That is the key. Now, I think you could, if weight loss isn't your goal, those walking could turn into jogging, maybe jog walk mixes. You can add some calisthenics in there as well. Just maybe an upper body day, lower body day. Doesn't have to be a whole lot, just something, right? Take that 30 minutes and build that habit. Next thing you know, you're doing hour-long workouts in the gym and getting pumped, you know. But don't jump right into that. Just let's build the habit first so it's there, and then you'll find that being a great foundation to go in any direction you want. Because I say all the time, fitness is a journey, not a destination. So, you build that habit and you can go in any direction. There's multi forks in the road where you can go. You can go do triathlons, you go be a power lifter, do a bodybuilding thing, run a marathon, just do calisthenics and cardio. So, yeah, so many different options. Can 500-yard swim PT test be done with a dive mask? Yeah. In fact, it will be eventually. When you show up to prep, all of your swims are with dive masks or without a dive mask and nothing. So you won't ever wear goggles when you're in the Navy. Now, when you're in like recruit level trying to pass the PST, you'll probably take it with the option of goggles or mask, or they may say, all right, we got to do one without it. Not sure why they do that anymore. I think just to challenge your comfort in the water. It used to be you would take the PST at boot camp, and that would determine whether or not you're going to buds after boot camp. But now they are not testing it at boot camp. You will be tested before. You'll be in the SO rating. You'll go through boot camp, then you'll go straight to prep out in Coronado. So that's how that works. Any advice on importance of quitting smoking weed and tobacco? You know what? That's not my area. But once again, if you're trying to do all these at once, whether, and I know you're not in the weight loss thing, but let's say you're trying to lose weight, start working out, eating healthy, drinking more water, and stop drinking and smoking tobacco and weed. Way too much to be done all at once. My advice, build the habit of fitness first. Let that be what drives your future decisions on one, where you want to focus your fitness, lifting weights, calisthenics, cardio, whatever, yoga, could be whatever. And when you start feeling better about your physicality and notice, hey, maybe I shouldn't be smoking because I can barely walk up a flight of steps because my lungs are, I'm hacking out smoke. Maybe that will be what drives your cessation versus trying to do it when you're doing all these other things. You know, it just becomes overwhelming for most people. My suggestion, one thing at a time, and let your foundational habit of fitness drive how you adjust, how you live in other areas. Does that make sense? Let's see. Hope that helps you, Nick. Hang in there. Copy of this. If you go to stewsmithfitness.com, that first page, in fact, I'll just show you. Let me share this with you guys. Chrome tab, Stu Smith Fitness. So this is my store. I don't know if you can see this. Where is, you guys see this, right? Yeah, there you go. So this is my store. You know, I got all these different types of programs. These are my newest ones here, the seasonal tactical fitness periodization. These are my best sellers, Army, Navy, Air Force, FBI. But yeah, if you just click this book section right here, it will pop up as one of many options for you. Calisthenics and cardio, and it will explain a little bit more about the process, what we're doing with it, and yeah. And what I do too, by the way, if you buy a book, I send you the ebook in a thank you email so you can get started. I send it for free. So buy the book, I send the ebook for free, and you know, a week later or so, you'll get the book in the mail. But you can get started the minute you make that purchase, and especially being in Canada, it appears you are. Um, um, you know, it may take a little bit of time, especially with these crazy winter storms going on. I've been preparing for buds. Where would you recommend I buy my mask when doing bite your mask when doing the water confidence? Oh, okay, okay. So when you're doing drown proofing and you pick up your mask, some people pick it up from the rubber next to the glass, like clamp down on it. I personally had a strap that floated, and I just grab it by the strap. You got to hold on tight, kick up to the surface, and start swimming towards the edge with it in your mouth. And there's a little ledge out there at Buds, that's all you have to do is just swim to that little ledge, even though it's 9 feet or 10 feet. That ledge is 3 feet from the surface. You can stand up on that ledge and get your buddies to start untying you. So, yeah. Also, should I practice my underwater knots? You should practice all 5 of your knots. I wouldn't do them underwater on breath holds, however. You should practice a few of them underwater just to see how the rope wiggles differently underwater than it does in air. Because I remember that being kind of like, okay, that's weird. When I was practicing. So, um, yeah, all of those things you should practice. In fact, there's a great workout I'm going to share with you. You will like this one. This is a way to practice that drown proofing workout or event safely. Check out the latest article I just posted in the comment section and give that a try. We usually do that twice a week, and it's a good little workout. You'll see it's pretty tough. If you're sick for most of the week, do you still work out? Depends on how I'm sick. If I'm sick from like here up, yeah, I usually work out. Head colds, runny nose, sinuses, stuff like that. Not a big deal. I don't like it, but I still do it. If it's down here, my throat, and then that's turning into like a sore throat, bronchitis, fever, I shut it down because that is just getting bad for me. If it's a flu, when you got a fever, you're throwing up, absolutely shut it down. No need to do anything. Um, but like I said, if it's a head cold, no big deal. If it's in your chest, I would recommend not doing cardio. Do something that doesn't get your heart rate up that much because you are overworking your heart when your lungs are congested, and that can be dangerous in the long run. So that's my 2 cents on the subject. I've written an article about it too. You can Google. In fact, if you Google that question and put my name in the search, in fact, I'm going to do that. If I could cut and paste that, I would, and put it in the Google search. In fact, I'll do it. Let me just try it. Stu Smith, sick during workouts. How did you ask that? Do I still work out? Still work out. See what the Google man says. Let's see. There's an article titled Working Out with a Cold, Nausea Doing Workouts, Perform a Systems Check After Bouts of Illness and Injury. The Dilemma, pushing through a workout when fatigued, or what is this? Fatigued or taking a recovery day. What are you doing to avoid illness while working? Yeah, I've written a lot about illness. How to exercise in the morning without getting sick. That's not me. Somebody uh, used one of my articles in one of their articles, it appears. So, yeah, there's a whole bunch out there that you can definitely find. What are the 5 knots? You should know these. They're pretty common knots, and you can Google them. 5 knots used at SEAL training. Try it. See what happens. What advice would you give to a midshipman from a smaller ROTC unit? We don't have NSW group. Feel like I'm a disadvantage compared to larger units, academy mids. Been loving your program. Um, that's a great question. I actually have contacts with probably about half a dozen, maybe 10 ROTC groups, and I just send them my workouts, and it's up to them if they want to do them. Because a lot of my guys that are local go to like the Citadel or Virginia Tech, or if they don't go to the academy, they go to Merchant Marine Academy. So they bounce around. Boston College ROTC. We've done a whole bunch of them. So I just send them my workouts and they are able to fit those in. So send me an email, stu@stewsmith.com. Tell me what your unit is and what you're training for, and um, I can set you up with the newsletter that I send all of my cadets and midshipmen, and it's for such prep, whether you're going SEAL, EOD, diver, um, Army Ranger after you graduate, those type of things. Marine Corps, all of those. Let's see. Do you train with a heart rate monitor? I used to. I have for oh crap. My there we go. Thought I lost my video again. I used to train with a heart rate monitor. I haven't in a while, and to be honest with you, I once you do it for a while, you kind of learn it. Like I know when I'm at 120 beats per minute. I know when I'm at 150, 175. It's just something that you just feel. So you do it for a year, you can get that kind of feel. You can always take your heart rate, real quickly, for 10 seconds, multiply it by 6. You got a good ballpark figure where you are. Um, but I do not train with a heart rate monitor now. I have, and I've done a few of the other tracking, sleep trackers and stuff like that. I was thinking about getting a Garmin too, just to see how that works with my training. Um, count calories, all of that. It might be fun. But I'd recommend it if you haven't. I would recommend learning and understanding why that is important for sure. When you wake up in your morning workouts, do you eat before you train? Today I ate a banana and a big glass of water. That was it. And then I eat breakfast afterwards. So I don't really go in fasted, especially for our lifts that we're doing, just because you'll be bonking real quick because you're burning a lot of glycogen, blood sugar, with your lifts, and even with some of our faster pace runs, you definitely want to have some blood sugar in. In fact, I take some with me too. So I'll take those honey stingers, little waffles, or the little honey squirts that they pop in. Those are really good. So always have a backup carb if needed, if I'm starting to feel lightheaded. And sometimes that happens. About 45 minutes in, I'm like, woo, I need to eat something. And I go grab something, and that sets me up for the back half of that workout. Good question, though. Definitely. Yeah. But if you're looking for the knots, it's Bolin, Beckett's Bend, right angle, clove hitch, and square knot. So pretty easy. In fact, you Google it, or I don't think I've written an article about it. I've done some social media posts on it and just took some pictures of the knots, things like that, but I haven't really done an article on it. So, let's see. Any other questions? Tomorrow I will be back on here at 9 a.m. and we'll do some combat swimmer stroke techniques. I got a few new videos this week that were pretty good. Some very common mistakes. It's funny because in one video I got sent to me, the guy was under gliding like one Mississippi every stroke, just like cranking out strokes to get across the pool. And the other guy was going like four Mississippis and over gliding and losing his momentum every stroke. So there's just fine line with that one Mississippi, two Mississippi pull on three, is that it seems to be a good ballpark figure for most people. They tend to lose their momentum after three Mississippis, and they tend to waste their momentum if they finish the stroke before three Mississippis. So that's why I do that. And I have a new coaching phrase that I use after seeing a funny comment. It's like, he needs more Mississippis. So that's how I'm now coaching the gliding. Too many Mississippis, not enough Mississippis. So, but yeah, the 3 second glide versus a 1.5 second glide and a 4 second glide. That's the Goldilocks zone. That 3 second hold your glide. And we'll talk about some CSS stuff. Anybody got any more questions? Yes, general discharge. I did a video with those guys on the SEAL PST and working on something with them with the Marine Corps Recon MARSOC as well. I like their YouTube channel. They're pretty good. So you guys check them out on their knots as well as that SEAL PST thing that I did with them. See, how many meters do you recommend candidates to swim a day? I currently swim 2,000 with fins and 5,000 without fins a day. I wouldn't swim that many with fins a day, to be honest with you. We swim 2,000 to 4,000 with fins. We build up to 4,000 with fins on leg days. So 2, sometimes 3 days a week, we will swim with fins. All the others are swimming without fins, and we swim without fins anywhere between 1,500 and 2,000 without fins. But very rarely do we do both in a day. We may warm up with a 500 without fins and then swim 2,000 with fins on leg day, but we don't do that every single day. We swim 6 days a week, but we do not swim with fins 6 days a week. I have seen many people get knee tendonitis a lot with doing that. So you may want to pull back on your daily swims with fins. Which one of your programs do you recommend to specifically strengthen the knees? I do not have such a program. None of my programs are guides to strengthen knees or any joint for that matter. It is all encompassing. So while yes, you can strengthen your leg muscles that circle your knees with calisthenics and cardio, but you can also do it with the foundation building. You can also do it with the seasonal tactical fitness periodization because each one of those, and this one too, Navy SEAL, each one of those have leg days in them. And on those leg days, you will be doing exercises that strengthen your knees. Shouldn't say strengthen your knees, strengthen the muscles around your knees. Hope that makes sense. How many meters do you recommend candidates? Wait, did I already? Okay, I already answered that one. Come on. I'm bouncing around, so I'm losing my which ones I got, which ones I didn't. Looks like I got all of them. If I missed any, send them to me. Yeah. All right, we've been at 50 minutes now. I got time for one more question. Then I'm going to take off. In this period of time, though, while I wait for this last question, I'm going to do my regular sign off, which is if I missed your question, you can send me an email, stu@stewsmith.com. You can send the videos to me, stu@stewsmith.com as well. Happy to open them up. If you would, just send me a 50-meter video, someone walking alongside the pool, filming you swim if you want me to be able to see you swimming in it. You can also go to my TikTok channel, Stu Smith 50, to check out over 100 different submitted CSS videos. If you don't like the app TikTok, can't have it on your phone, understand. Go to the actual website, just on a regular computer, tiktok.com/StuSmith50, and you can see it like any other web page versus having to download the app. But anyway, thanks for watching. You have any questions or comments, check out Stu Smith Fitness. I got hundreds of articles, books, ebooks, coaching that can help you do that. So let's see if there's any other questions left. I've been practicing the ASVAB. What's an excellent score for the Navy? I don't know. Go to the sealswick.com website if you're preparing for BUDS and see what the ASVAB scores are. There are some things that I just don't remember, and that is a typical reference item that I put off in my brain as reference material, and that's why I have a Google machine to go look up ASVAB scores. I do not know. Do you stretch mobility throughout the day? Yes. I actually do a whole day of mobility day. But at the end of each day, I always do some form of stretching, mobility, movement, just the basics, nothing crazy. Loosen my hips mainly. Hips and lower back probably get tight more than anything, so I tend to stay on top of those. Whether I'm laying down stretching or I'm standing up stretching, I will tend to stretch a lot. And I try not to stay seated in this office seat all day. I may sit for a couple of hours and then move around, go for a walk, stretch out on the park benches when I pass them. That's been very helpful over the years. But yes, throughout the day, 100%, you should. So with that, folks, I am going to take off. I will see you guys tomorrow, 9 a.m. We will talk about some combat swimmer stroke, and then as well as other questions you may have. Send me a video. Happy to critique it for you. Until then, we'll see you later. You guys have a good one. Hope you had a Merry Christmas yesterday.